since we had those fires, there's a lot of loose ground up there, and especially with the rains that we had back in November, there are a lot of people that are kind of worried about that area as well.
I imagine a lot of those roads, there's going to be a lot of rock slides and so on in those areas, so I'll go check that.
Also, when these things happen, we all know that the fire departments go on what's known as emergency status. If you are driving past a fire department this morning, a fire station, you will see the trucks moved from inside the garages outside. That's so the trucks can be ready to roll and not be bothered by damage in case there is another aftershock.
Good morning, everyone. You are watching KRON TV News Center 4. If you were just waking up, a strong earthquake hit Los Angeles 1 hour ago exactly at about 4:31, estimated to be a 6.5 or a 6.6. Aftershocks have been coming, especially within the last 3 minutes. One is happening right now. We are monitoring all information and pictures coming from the Southland, from KNBC, NBC News, CNN, and Story. Now we return to coverage from our sister station, KNBC.
We hope that you are fine. We're here. We will stay on the air. We'll continue to inform you. If you're looking for a comparison, and we have been mentioning these numbers throughout the morning, if you are trying to compare the strength of this morning's earthquake with past earthquakes you may recall from Southern California, let's give you a very quick rundown right now. This morning, preliminarily, we're saying that this earthquake, according to Caltech and the Earthquake Center also in Golden, Colorado, measured between 6.5 and 6.7 on the Richter scale. By comparison, the Sylmar earthquake of 1971 measured 6.4, so this morning's earthquake would be stronger than that. The Whittier Narrows earthquake of 1987 measured 5.9, so this earthquake would be stronger than that. And the biggest earthquake recently, the 1987 Imperial Valley earthquakes, the Landers earthquakes, 6.2 and 6.6. That was in a mostly unpopulated area, and so the damage and death toll from that earthquake was lower, but still that was the strongest until this morning. Now we have a quake of 6.5 to 6.7, quite strong, coming through 4:31 this morning, lasting about 30 seconds, a strong, jolting, rumbling earthquake, and we have experienced, as you have pointed out, the aftershocks from that. Now, Carla,
the downtown area right now,
what we're hearing.
videotape. And you have car alarms going off. Actually, you have all kinds of alarms going off. People going outside try to figure out what's happened, how much damage has been caused in their area.
This is videotape brought to us by one of our photography services. These are gentlemen who take pictures of overnight activities around Southern California. And they were on the scene as the shaking was going on. And to be on the scene this morning means to be anywhere from Santa Barbara and Bakersfield to the north, Las Vegas to the east, and San Diego to the south. This morning's earthquake, believed to have been centered in the San Fernando Valley, was felt over a very, very widespread area. Let's listen in, see what this man has to say.
I mean,
How powerful?
oh, pretty powerful.
Hold still now.
It's just going to be a little while before
Reports of any major injuries or large numbers of casualties.
Harry, we've had an occasional report of fire in
I say live, forgive me. It is a videotape taken from earlier this morning.
Has power in some of the high-rise buildings.
Let's go live right now to Conan Nolan, who's at Caltech, and he can give us a lot more information on this earthquake. Good morning, Conan. What do they have so far?
Well, good morning, Carla. Just a few moments ago, we heard from Dr. Kate Hutton of the California Institute of Technology here in Pasadena, and she's going to be briefing us in just a few more minutes. But what we've learned thus far is that this is, and you've been reporting, this is a magnitude 6.6 earthquake. It was centered in the northern San Fernando Valley area. They're still trying to ascertain the exact epicenter. They've been in contact with the National Earthquake Center in Golden, Colorado, and the 6.6 number is what both agencies have agreed on. We understand, of course, as you've mentioned, that there are some major aftershocks. Those aftershocks are what they're using to try to nail down the epicenter of the quake. But as it stands right now, again, it's in the northern San Fernando Valley. Folks, just a few moments ago, Kent, as you were talking about the aftershock that you were feeling in Burbank, here in Pasadena, we didn't feel it very much at all. So obviously, this area has not been hit nearly as hard as some of the other areas in the valley. In fact, the lights are on here, and they've been on for the past, I'd say, past half hour to 45 minutes. Meanwhile, much of San Fernando Valley remains in the dark. As I was traveling here,
Unfortunately, we're having some problems with that audio, and we have a couple of gremlins ourselves during these earthquakes.
We will get back to Conan in a while.
But we do have other people out in the field.
Gremlins is the case, by the way, Carla. We've been showing videotape all morning long of the things that have fallen off the shelves here at Channel 4. We have a bank of monitors, of 20 television monitors, only 4 of which are standing right now. Others fell down onto desks where, had this been the height of the news day or the normal business hour, you have to imagine people would have been injured. This is what it looks like in Channel 4's hallways right now. Some of these tapes stacked there typically, but I'll tell you one thing, we do not store boxes on their sides as you're seeing in these pictures. It has just been a mess all around Southern California. Here's a desk area from one of our writers, and you can just tell that what we have here in our studio is probably somewhat similar to what you have had in your own home if you have but looked around on the walls or in the medicine cabinets, because things have come out of everywhere to come off of the wall.
It was right now 6.6. We're trying to find out where the epicenter was. That's still a question mark in San Fernando Valley. The other thing we ask at this time, how much damage? We know there has been some damage. You probably see some minor damage in your house. There has been some major damage. We can tell you about problems on the I-10 freeway, the Santa Monica freeway at Fairfax. The other thing we usually ask is injuries. At this point, we have no reports of injuries, but it is still too early to tell. That takes a while to compile.
During KNX. And Tricia, do you have any information about some of the problems on the freeways up there? Can you hear me, Tricia? I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to her. We'll let you know as soon as we have contact with her. Our reporter, Joe Avalar, is at Caltech right now. I spoke to him on the phone.
What's it been like in your area? Phil Schumann, if you're with us, say good morning. All right, we have lost Phil. We'll try to get back to him in a little while. Meanwhile, we want to go back to Conan Nolan at Caltech. We had a bit of an audio problem before. We ask your forbearance because on mornings like this, as Carla points out, technical gremlins do creep into the works. Right now, Channel 4 is operating off of emergency generator power. Conan at Caltech in Pasadena, what's the latest word?
Well, Ken, as I was saying before we had audio problems, 6.6 on the Richter scale, that is figures that have been married up between here at Caltech and also the earthquake center in Golden, Colorado. They're still trying to ascertain the exact epicenter of this earthquake, but we're told it's in northern San Fernando. They're reluctant to say the city of San Fernando because in the past there have been problems where they've given an epicenter that was incorrect, but right now they're just saying the northern San Fernando Valley. The last major earthquake, of course, here was in 1971 on February 9th. That was a 6.5, the famous San Fernando earthquake, which caused a tremendous amount of damage in that area. We don't have any reports of that kind of damage in this earthquake, which says something for the seismic retrofitting that much of the city went through over the past 20 years. But for the most part, we understand that, as you've been reporting, there are blackouts throughout the San Fernando Valley. On our way to Pasadena here, much of the valley was blacked out. In fact, there was part of the overpass of the Highway 2 in Glendale that some concrete had come down onto the roadway. For the most part, though, they tell us that they're getting very close to an epicenter. I want to show you right now, if we can. This is what the seismograph here at Caltech measured. This is the very beginning of the earthquake, and as it progressed, and you could probably get the same reading from the Channel 4 News seismograph. This is essentially the end of the main shock, and then the beginning of some of the major aftershocks, and the corresponding data from the seismograph, from this particular seismograph, reads almost the same way. Very strong. Then it lightens up after, of course, we make our way through the major aftershock, and then a few more aftershocks after that. Now, keep in mind there is a slight chance that this was a foreshock, although that diminishes with each passing minute. This was indeed appears the main quake that we felt at 4:31.